tell you a little bit about Darcy. She's a retired tower crane operator. It's an amazing thing to do. Currently a peer worker with Insite, and she's a member of the Assist Injection Team with the BC Centre for Excellence, and she's a full-time activist. She also uses Insite personally, so please join me in welcoming Darcy Lapushinsky.
Thanks, Julian. Well, it's been a while since I've been up in between so many people. Can't tell you, I'm a little nervous, but that's okay. Bear with me. And as usual, I've written everything down and I forgot my glasses. So sometimes I better bring it anyways. I really don't know what it is exactly that the message that they wanted me to convey to you people today. I guess I'll give you a little bit of a background maybe that will help you a long way about the Insight user. I guess I'm the fashion model. Is your army shirt? Yes. Well, thanks so much. We find it quite nice. You always put color coordinated for work and all, but that's it. We'll see if you work here. Pretty good. Thanks. Like they said, you're not working at all, you're making cross-eyes with me. I spent my life working for 20 years as an engineer, as a crane operator, and primarily most of that time I spent not in the city. I didn't arrive in the city here until 6 years ago. And I have to tell you, it was culture shock. I remember walking down, getting on the streets of East Hastings and going, oh my God, like what's happened to our city. And my sister was down there for 30 years as a working girl and a heroin addict. And so I wasn't like, it's not as if I wasn't not aware of the situation about addiction and drug abuse and all the rest of that stuff. It's just I had not seen it up face to face. And what happened to me is I ended up breaking my back at work. I fell 50 feet and subsequently needed a rod in the back. And with that, I lost my job, I lost my house, my RV, my car, you know, so on and so on, the dog, it was my cats, I still love my cats, yeah. Anyways, what happened is I ended up coming down here and ended up in the Balmoral Hotel of all places. That was probably my worst fear of anything would be to end up down here. I'm also the mother of a 24-year-old who I got her safely and well off, educated, and she's on her own, so I found myself down here and with a serious disability problem with my back. And what they did is they, in their wisdom, the medical doctors here took me off of Percocet, which I've been taking on a regular basis, and not a lot of it, with no history of a drug addict of any kind in my past, except for the painkillers I was using, and decided to put me on methadone. And with no history of being a heroin addict, I don't know if anybody here knows about methadone, but it's not the ideal drug. And if you've never done heroin, let me tell you, it's something to be put on. I ended up finding myself standing in a drugstore lineup with other heroin addicts waiting for my daily dose. So that, in essence, is how I came down to using the Insight. What happened was, like anybody else, it's the most convenient thing to have to do is to stand up and wait outside a drugstore at 7 o'clock in the morning while traffic's going by, waiting for you to get your painkillers. I don't know if there's probably nobody in this audience because you're all way too young to experience anything like this. But what happened is basically with the mindset, where I was at financially and physically, I ended up turning to injection drug use. And for me, lucky enough, the Insight was right next door to where I was living. It was 2 doors down. So not knowing anybody and not ever having been an injection drug user, at 45, that was my start date. I remember walking to the Insight and asking them, you know, is this where I go to inject? Because I don't want to use an elevate. And they said, yeah, and like, what kind of drugs do you do? And I said, well, I really don't do anything. Can you show me how to do this? And of course, it's like big laugh, how are you? And they actually did. They have a registered nurse on site, which will help you do whatever it is you need to do, except the actual motion itself for injecting the drugs. And 6 months later, I was I had basically my fill of it, so I was actually a short-term drug addict as far as heroin use. I'm still a social drug user. I don't use heroin anymore, and I'm not I'm not I don't use intravenous drugs at this point. And part of it for me was, I think, the insight was there. I wasn't forced to go into an alleyway. I don't know what I would have done if it hadn't been there at that time. I really don't know what I would have done as far as where I would have gone with my drug abuse or usage, because you can't really go backwards and say what you might do. And what they did do for me is that they offered a place to go with lots of counseling. And I think when people, I don't know if what you did was a kind of a brief overview of what it's like. It's like going into a community center for drug addicts. You walk in the door, you are code, you go into another room, and they have all these little booths, the music's playing, and you have a bit of privacy or whatever, and you have nurses in the background. You do your injection, and you leave and you go into another room, which is a chill-out room. TV, music, coffee, whatever, and that's where you hang out till you feel like you're okay to go back on the street, I guess. And I know I'm a worker there, which is kind of cool. I work there twice a week. I've been doing it for 2 years, as well as doing a lot of outreach work. And 6 years ago, if someone was to say, would you ever see yourself in the downtown east side doing what I was doing? I'd say no. And I think part of the message I want to convey is that anything can happen to anybody at any time. I was probably the most redneck individual that you wanted to see walk the streets in my cowboy boots. And I'm in a sister being a drug addict. It was like I didn't have any compassion or the empathy that I have now. And I guess walking the walk and being down here it's really opened my eyes. Let's see. It's hard if I can't follow my notes, so I'm going to that. Along with everything else, we have a lot of, the Insite offers a lot of options other than just drug use that you can do inside. It has your counseling. Their health team that they have in there is remarkable. It's better than the hospitals as far as I'm concerned. A lot of people suffer from abscesses and wound care and just being on the street and dirty. They come in there. And everything is available that you might need in a low-key care center, except for that you're dealing with drug addicts. And the drugs are there. There's not much difference. And what I see, and what I saw for myself, is I had the ability with the people there to be able to get the counseling that I needed and to walk out of what could have potentially been a long addiction for me. And for that, I hope to God that they stay open for another 10 years or 15 or 20, as long as they allow them to be there. And as far as harm reduction, it's the ultimate key and what we should have had maybe 10 years ago. And 500 overdoses, I think they've had so far with the fatality should prove itself. And I think there's 18,000 or something injections a month. So if you take those people and you put them on the street, and you imagine 18,000 people injecting a month on the street, that's what you don't see. And those are the people that they help. And they're everybody. They're doctors, there's lawyers, there's Indian chiefs, there's people like me, they're not. The idea of a typical drug user is not exactly what they portray, and what there is down there is totally different than what people need. They need to have their eyes open for that, I know that. And without a doubt, there needs to be a big eye-opening. And I see the team of one of the new groups that joined, girls in the red back there, the IPC girls, I love them. They're part of the new harm reduction team that we have going down there. They're a wonderful group of girls. Stand up in your red. Can you give me a plug? And we're one of the idealistic 22-year-old, 23-year-old girls I love. They come down there and they're going to come back to the UBC and say, hey, this is what's going on down there. So the more the merrier.